Welcome, Jack, to the Biohacker Babes. Thanks for joining us today.
Awesome to be here, babes. Really cool. Glad to be here.
Yes. We're all over the country today. We got Toronto, we got Florida, we got Vegas. So really excited to have the three of us on board today to talk about one of my favorite topics in the world, and that is sleep. But more specifically, this is a really, really great topic because we've been talking a lot about environmental toxins on the podcast this year. I don't know why that seems to be coming up a lot, maybe just the planet getting more toxic, but we really talk a lot about how that is connected to the root cause of so many of the chronic illnesses we see today. Maybe people have cleaned up their diet, their exercise, but what are we being exposed to in our, indoor air pollution, outdoor, but especially mattresses. We have not talked about mattresses, and we are hopefully spending 1/3 of our life on our mattress sleeping, and we might be getting very sick from these mattresses. So a lot to unpack today. You've done amazing work with athletes that I want to get into as well, and what they're doing with sleep optimization. But the big question, just to kick it off, how are our mattresses maybe making us quite sick?
Wow, interesting. Thank you. This is, a journey that started 24 years ago for me when I started really looking into. I had some family members who were both going through cancer treatments, and we were trying to clean up their home environment, and that's where we were realizing when people are their most vulnerable, with their face their biggest health challenges, that's when you can identify what's harming and what's not. We were realizing that the toxins coming out of the conventional mattresses were becoming irritants, were causing rashes, hives, respiratory issues. And so we were just looking to create this clean environment. That's kind of where it started for me, of understanding the indoor air toxins. And only then did I realize that one of the product that releases the most off-gassing in your home is your mattress, just because it has the highest density, highest concentration of these chemicals to make the foams. So if you think about your couches, your curtains, and everything that people are typically worried about in their environment, the mattress itself has 2 to 3 times the amounts of these chemicals in them for them to be supportive type mattresses. When we realized that, I then went on a journey of trying to figure out how we get organic versions of these, natural versions of these, so it's not stimulating a central nervous system. It wasn't until I started working with pro athletes years later where we started really monitoring central nervous system brain activity and really understanding how these toxins were actually stimulating and activating that brain activity. So there's two things. There's one on one side, what most people are concerned with are having chronic exposure to low-level chemicals. So all these products are made within legal standards. So they've met the maximum required of off-gassing that the law requires. But that shouldn't be the standard that you kind of dive into in bed. So again, with athletes, we were able to see that it increases their brain activity. So two things were happening: the exposure to chemicals that can have long-term harm to your health, but in the short term, it's actually reducing your REM sleep and deep sleep. So that's a whole other health challenge altogether, because now you're not recovering as quickly, both mentally and physically. And that's where my journey took me for probably the last 14 years, has been focused on REM sleep and deep sleep, and making sure we move the needle to maximize that.
I'm sure all the ears were already perked even more, because everybody wants more deep sleep and more REM sleep. And we work with clients, and that's always the question, like, oh, I'm not getting enough of those. How do I get more? And I think most of us are turned on to basic sleep hygiene, circadian rhythm, but this is such an overlooked piece. I will never forget what you just said, that the mattress is the most toxic in the whole home. So if we're starting to kind of chip away and start to buy or invest in new furniture, this really should be number one, it sounds like.
Well, when I work as a sleep coach with some of the athletes, the first thing I have them do is actually get an Essentia mattress, and it just not because I'm specifically promoting it. Obviously, it's my company, but it does 90% of the work for me. So I need that baseline, because I don't want to coach them forever. I just want to get in there, clean up their environment, and we've put so much work into identifying and eliminating all those stimulants that once I'm with an athlete and they get on the product, within weeks of just focused on their sleep hygiene and a few tweaks here and there, but the rest of it has been taken care of within the sleep environment by correcting the mattress that they're sleeping on. There's so many conflicting features coming out of these mattresses. So, for example, we want to eliminate toxins. That's the number one thing. So you go to an organic mattress, right? However, the organic mattresses are not the best for pain management, which is another stimulant which most people want to get a change mattress for. So that's where we developed a pressure redistributing latex. So we're the only ones that have that. That's a patented creation of ours. But now that's just part of the puzzle. Most people sleep hot, specifically athletes. They're always overtraining. And yeah, so exactly. The more you train, the more active you are, you're building up that body heat. So thermoregulation is something that we took a deep dive into understanding. Because right now, the way the mattress industry's response to this is to put phase-changing chemicals. Just phase-changing chemicals. Two things. They don't work. Because here, what it is it reacts to your body heat. So upon contact, if you've ever felt those before, you get this cooling feeling sensation that comes out of it. That's a chemical reaction that's happened. It lasts for a few seconds and then it's gone. And then the temperature is increasing until you toss and turn and change position. So one, it's actually keeping you awake. Two, it's actually off-gassing more chemicals out of that cocktail. So again, it's stimulating your central nervous system. And then the most important part is in all the studies that we've done, it's not just about sleeping cool or in a cool environment. It's actually your body's ability to thermoregulate and constantly be dropping in temperature. It's interesting how we always go back to how our bodies were designed and how nature is designed. We have to be aligned with nature. Our bodies need to be aligned with nature. And as the sun goes up, the temperatures increase, right? And our bodies, that's a signal. As temperatures increase, it's time to wake up. As the sun goes down, the temperatures decrease. That's a signal to our brains to slow it down and to stay asleep. So what we've been able to identify is that if we can allow your body temperature to be dropping constantly for an 8-hour time lapse, we extend your sleep time, we extend your REM sleep and deep sleep. And I'm not really so focused on the overall sleep. People say you need to sleep 7 or 8 hours. That's kind of unique for everyone, just because what really matters is how much REM sleep and how much deep sleep you get. Everything else is fluff. We have some great biohackers that use our product, and when we've tracked them, they've only logged in 5.5 hours of sleep, but 3.5 hours of those have been deep sleep and REM sleep, and that's all you need.
Nice.
So at the end of the day, that's what it's optimizing sleep and really moving that needle on REM sleep and deep sleep, because that's a game changer. You know the difference in athletes between the top 5 athletes in the world and the top 25 athletes in the world. You know they're all awesome, right? The top 25 and the top 5, they're all amazing athletes. The difference between them is their ability to have their heart rate variability drop in key moments after key events in their sport. So if you're playing hockey, you score a goal. How do you recover? Does your heart rate recover quickly? Are you focused, concentrated, or anxious? So those and all of these practices happen during your sleep, during REM sleep, during deep sleep. This is what's going on with your body. It's kind of training you for how good you'll be in the day. One, you feel more refreshed, you feel focused, less anxious, but also your heart will be operating at a way more efficiency for those peak moments. And the same thing goes from the top 25 to the top 100, and the same happens for all of us, right? So the better we train ourselves to sleep well, the better our system works at night. That passes on to being something that it's actually practiced in the day. So you train your body to recover by day and at night as well.
Yeah, yeah. I love that you're starting with that with athletes. And actually, I do this with my clients, even though my background is primarily nutrition. I start asking about their sleep because I know it's going to make it easier for them to follow their diet and to have a better mood and better brain function and want to go to the gym. But they're like, why are you asking about my sleep? But it's so important. And
It's exactly.
yeah, and the REM sleep and deep sleep, we're all fascinated by that as biohackers. Something I've noticed is I get about an hour and a half of each. Whether I get 6 hours of sleep or 10 hours of sleep, I'm still getting the same amount of REM sleep and deep sleep. So I'm always looking for ways to optimize that. And maybe it is my mattress making a difference there. And so I'm curious with the off gassing, is there like an average time that these mattresses are off gassing, even if it's quote unquote organic?
So typically when it stops off gassing is when it's breaking down. That's kind of the
Ooh.
catch to it, because
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, these chemicals, once they dry off, they break down, so they become dry, brittle, and they no longer have the support. So that's why
okay.
in the mattress they put such a high density, high concentration of it, because they want them to last 3 to 7 years, which
Mm,
means that you'll
okay.
constantly be getting some off gassing, or you'll be getting the breakdown of the product. So it's one or the other, which is not really good, because then you're back to the same thing of buying a new one and off with, obviously the peak off gassing happens that first year.
Hmm.
But then you're still getting a low level of off gassing that continues to emit until it becomes dry and brittle.
And then
That's
it's
pretty
time for a new
scary.
mattress.
Yeah. So I think we all are familiar with the
Yeah.
new smell, like of a new car,
Mhm.
new carpet, maybe the mattress, but we don't smell that forever. Are we just getting used to it, or these VOCs are still being off gas and we just are not smelling them anymore? I mean, if
Yeah.
it's 8 years, it's a long time. I can't imagine
Well,
we're still smelling that.
typically what you're getting is just a concentration, because a lot of them are packaged compressed. So no matter what the odor is. So, for example, if you take an organic mattress, you'll have the smell of the latex or the organic cotton. Now, it's not a chemical smell; it's nothing dangerous. But for the first hour or so, you'll smell latex, and so it's the
Mhm.
same thing happening. People are relating the smell with a toxin, and they're not really related. It's just because people have identified that they're smelling polyurethane and they know it's toxic, but the smell itself is not what's toxic. That's just the product that smells. The that's the crazy part, is the
Okay.
toxin is odorless and invisible. You can't see it, you can't smell it, and it's just there. You're absorbing it through
Like
your pores.
EMFs. Oh,
Exactly. Yeah. So
EMFs.
it's,
Yeah.
Scary, very scary.
Yeah.
it would
So
be so much easier if we can spell it and see it. Everyone would understand, where the
right.
harm is.
Right, right. Yeah. If people could see the EMFs around them, then they would be more cautious, maybe. But so, what about these mattresses that are claiming to be like clean, eco-friendly, organic? Like, is all this marketing just a bunch of BS?
No,
Or is there some
there are
truth to
some
it?
that are there are some legit brands out there. But the problem is, so it all depends on how seriously you want to take your sleep. So organic may be your lifestyle choice, but there are no performance organic mattresses. So
Okay.
organic mattresses will be made of some conventional certified organic latex foams. They'll be padded with organic wool, organic cotton shell. And most of them have springs, which is kind of not organic, not good for EMF, kind of creates almost like an antenna for EMFs. But
Yeah.
ultimately, it's still offering you a clean bedroom environment. What it's not offering you is an allergen-friendly environment, because you don't. Allergy is another stimulant. You don't want nesting grounds for bed bugs, dust mites, and what happens in a padded, a regular quilted mattress, is that whether it's synthetic and polyester, or natural with cottons and wools, is that becomes a nesting area which gathers your skin exfoliation, your just skin oils, and that's really attractive nesting area for dust mites and bed bugs. So that's what you don't want to have in an organic mattress. So, like I said, there are organic mattresses. There's obviously greenwashing out there, but I think those are people that are just going to a big box store and buying something at a low price. And you know what usually gives it away? If the mattress says organic on the cover itself, it's usually not organic. Usually that's the marketing pitch.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
okay.
Because that
Okay.
means that they'll have an organic shell and the inside's not organic. And so that's
Okay.
one of the giveaways. And it's just, but what you need to ask is it a Galls or GOTS certified organic mattress? Has there been an audit trail? So has it been third party verified? And then what are the materials used inside? So there are some Galls and GOTS certified organic mattress out there. There's not many. Most of them are just having the stitching designed to have the organic word in it or the green
Yeah.
word in it. And what's popular is to use things like spas, like an organic spa type of thing. So anything that makes you feel that you're going into a serene environment.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Oh
Thanks for the
man.
breakdown on
Certification
that.
is where it's
Oops,
at, though.
buy organic again. It'll get you in every corner. I want to hear about this Galls and GOTS, which it sounds like guys and gals, but this is a certification process,
Yes.
GOLS. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
So GOLS is the Global Organic Latex Standard, and GOTS is the Global Organic Textile Standard. And the textile is for the fabrics used, and the latex is for the foam materials used on the inside. So those are the highest standards. And when you have those standards on your product, you don't need to be Green Guard. You don't need to have any other certifications below that because you're already organic. So you're not using chemicals. So there's no need for any other certification. It's the most stringent one. And they'll track, we've been doing this for years. So through we get annual audits and they verify the source of the material, even the working conditions. So make sure that there's the child labor laws, and no matter where you're extracting the sap from the trees, that there's good practices being used for that, and everything's managed and everything's audited and verified all the way through. Our factory is audited and verified that there's no contamination, and that we're during the custody that we have the products, that we make sure that everything stays pure and natural. So that's the standard, and there's a handful of manufacturers that have it. Another thing to look out for is that people that resell it can abuse that. So we have seen stores that what they'll do is they're reselling a product from a manufacturer, which is pretty common. And they'll say that it's a certification from that manufacturer, and they'll be able to showcase that certification. But some manufacturers have both. They produce galls and non-galls, and you need to, to be safe, you need to buy from a manufacturer that only offers galls and GOTS certified products. It's unfortunate because there's a lot of it. Even just saying it must be exhausting for somebody to say, "Oh, why do I even want to bother with this?" It's just it's like buying a used car.
Yeah, it's a lot of things to be educated on, but our audience is up for it. They want to be an educated consumer. So very cool. So sort of the dangers that we're looking for, and these certifications take care of that, would be the VOCs, any mold, EMFs. What else goes on that list?
So mold is not on that list. So it's just the product itself has to be organic, pesticide free, and fair trade practices. Interesting that you mentioned mold, because that's one of the. So we've identified, and as we go along, we've been identifying everything that stimulates and interrupts your sleep. And what we've just developed this year was we've made a change to our formula that basically we've been able to show how it will not allow the growth of mold to happen. So in our testing, we showed our new formula with a higher acidity of essential oils, which is something that we use in our foam. Basically, was even foam, the mold that we planted in a lab environment was actually retracting. It wasn't growing, which was pretty awesome. So that's again just another thing that we focus on, is making sure that sleep environment is the healthiest possible. This was a little different. We were mandated by by a group, a customer of ours that wanted to deal with this issue. So about a year ago, and I've always been this way. When I figure out there's something better, I make it across the board on everything we offer and everything we sell, just because that's what we believe in, and that's what our customers are come for. They want the best. They want to move the needle. Our biohackers and our athletes and our executives, they're not coming here for a good night's sleep. They're coming here for an awesome night's sleep that will change their days and change their lives. That's kind of what we focus on.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm here for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to feel like a
Yeah.
rock star after a night
Yeah.
of sleep. Where is the mold coming from? How is that getting into mattresses? Is it more in humid areas, or is this a problem across the
Well,
board?
so I hadn't realized until this was brought up to me is that uh, as much as 50% of homes in the United States have a mold issue. A lot of them are where you'd expect. So the mold are not coming out of your products. These pollens are falling into your household items. And a lot of
Okay.
it is from poor maintenance. So a whole lot of it is people not cleaning their ducts and their HVACs and changing the basic stuff that you're supposed to do in your HVAC systems. And then you get into high humidity environments. Here we are, we're in Florida. I mean, mold is an issue that you need to always be preventing and cleaning. And a lot of people don't follow through on everything. And sometimes you'll get into a location and a new home and you won't know how that space was managed before you. So it could be between the walls, could be in the vents. And basically, what we set out to do is to have a product that can withstand as much mold as possible. Now, don't forget, nothing, these pores will still fall on it. And we're just trying to stunt and prevent that exponential growth that mold typically has. But ultimately, it's healthy practices in the indoor air that needs to happen, from good air filtration, good cleaning practices. So it's not coming from these products, but I didn't realize it was such a major issue.
Yeah, and poor construction of homes. I mean, again, so many things that we have to think about as consumers, but also just as humans living in a house.
Yeah,
Increasing
exactly.
airflow. But it's really great to know that it seems like these mattresses are protecting against that if you are exposed. What are some of the other key elements of Essentia? I know you have a ton of education on your website, which is very cool. I want everyone to go there and read a little bit more, but you have like these 8 very key elements that kind of set you apart. Can you go through those?
Sure. Those have been, again, through time, whatever, you know, in the initial studies that we did with cancer patients, then eventually what we learned through athletes. And we've identified 8 stimulants that will not allow you to have the best REM sleep and deep sleep. Number 1 that we've covered is toxins. Number 2 is allergens. You know, 25% of Americans do get impacted by allergens, and the rest of the people don't even know it. You know, you may not have an overreaction. Typically, people identify an allergen as a body's overreaction, not resisting to something. But just because you're not overreacting to it, there is a reaction. Now, the reaction we've seen is less REM, less deep sleep, because again, your immune system is overactive when it shouldn't be. When you're sleeping, you need to be vulnerable. You need to have everything slowing down and recovering.
Or even just waking up, not feeling rested, refreshed, just kind of like groggy in the morning.
Yeah. So from toxins to allergens, thermal regulation, which we've covered, that's a huge one in moving the needle in your sleep.
Which makes it very hard to travel. Lauren and I have experienced that. We're very hot sleepers. And I have an 8 sleep, which I've heard you talk about, like the difference of having cold under you versus like on top of you in a blanket, which is very, very fascinating to me. But I have grown accustomed to having a cold bed. So when I go to hotels, I barely sleep. I'm just like on fire. I don't know. Do you have a quick tip maybe for when you travel? Like, what do you do? Do you bring your mattress with you?
No,
moving in.
Unfortunately, I don't. But I do have my routine, and usually I keep the room cold. I take a shower before bed, and basically, I'm not one to wear too many layers. Let's put it that way, just to try to be as fresh as possible. So,
I threw out my pajamas years ago. I don't even.
One thing I would tell
Yeah.
you, if you are using any type of mechanical airflow system, make sure you're at times removing it, airing it out. You want to make sure you have no
Okay.
mold development through that condensation that may be happening. So that's something always to keep an eye out
Okay.
when you're using these items, these products. But yeah,
Okay.
thermal
So it's
regulation is
thermoregulation.
huge. The other thing would be the most obvious one when you're looking for a mattress is pain management. So so we need to have proper pressure redistribution and pain management because again, pain is a stimulant as well. That'll keep you up at night, shoulders, neck, back, things that are not being supported. Another thing is that there are movements that a body will do naturally, especially during REM sleep. During REM sleep, your brain is actually very active. And there may be some movements, some kicks, some turns that'll happen. Now, if you're tossing and turning because of heat or because of pain, that's one thing. Those are real sleep interruptions. But there are brain activities that will trigger movements. So when you're having those movements, it's important that the mattress readapts to you immediately. And if it's not, so especially when you're talking about performance foams, memory foams, what they do is they completely mold to the body. When you change position, two things happen. One, the new area has to readapt to your body. The old area has to cool down to no longer create that softness. That's a 6 minute process. And every time you make these moves, there's 6 minutes that you're not getting into deep sleep and REM sleep. So what we've designed is a very rapid recovery foam, which is not body heat activated, so that we're minimizing from those 6 minutes down to under 10 seconds. So that quick readapting to your body is one of the things that we've triggered one of our 8 items that is not that is not preventing you from logging in more time in deep sleep. And our last one has been mold. We've added that up until last year, we were at 7, and now we've added mold because, again, it's something that keeps the immune system hyperactive, and eliminating mold from everyone's environment, day and night, is important.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And what about the quartz, the crystal quartz technology?
Oh, yeah. EMF, thank you, because I wasn't counting. So
I got you.
I wasn't sure
got my fingers out.
Or not. That's actually pretty exciting. That was a development that we worked on back in 2015. 2018, we introduced this to our pro athletes. The issue that we were having was EMFs we knew were an issue. We were able to see through dark field microscopy that when you're on active phone calls or active streaming, the EMFs that are now wireless, what it does to your blood is it makes it behave erratically and it clogs them together. And that prevents some oxygen from flowing freely through your blood cells. So we knew that this was an issue. The problem was a lot of our athletes are young, they're away from home, and they don't want to not have their devices. And I kind of for that because I want us to not retract. We want to progress. We want to use all of the benefits of modern technology, but we don't want it to impact our health. So what we were able to work with, we were working in Switzerland at the time, is a quartz formula. What the quartz is really great at holding memory. So what the quartz had is an informed frequency. So the quartz in our mattress that we put right now has basically a dominant low level frequency that follows the rhythm and flows organically of our bodies. So we've been able to identify through, again, dark field microscopy, that everyone who was on our bed with phone calls actually had better blood cell flow than those without technology, not on our beds. So it protected, it eliminated all of the erratic behavior. And that's a major point because a lot of people are into grounding, but grounding doesn't really solve the modern EMFs that are coming from wireless, because it still has to flow through your body. So you're getting that erratic blood cell behavior and it's passing through, it's not stagnant, but none of these wireless are ever stagnant. They're just erratic and chaotic. So what the low level frequency does is allows the signals to come in, but the signals don't have to be erratic. That's just because how they're projected to us. But if they're coming in an organic wave, the communication in the device still works, but it doesn't affect our blood flow. And that's where we have to
Okay,
be
cool.
way more connected with the planet. We need to be way more connected with the earth and all of its frequencies. That's actually what energizes us is to be well connected.
I would
Absolutely.
sleep on the grass if I didn't hate bugs. I don't hate bugs, but no one wants to sleep with creepy crawlers.
Yeah, yeah. I love the idea of camping, but I can't get past that part. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what with athletes, I know a big hurdle is that they do travel a lot. So what do you do for them then?
Well, at one point for some teams, we had made some travel kits, but it wasn't very popular because their equipment managers had twice as much equipment to move around.
Yeah.
So it's something that is in fact just something that they deal with. We're in maybe about 4,000 rooms of different hotel properties that have Essentia mattresses for wellness travel.
Is there a list of
How do
that?
Actually,
we find that? Yeah. Is it on the
and
Yeah.
website?
we're close to you, by the way. We're in Vegas. We're in about 15 properties on the strip. So MGM Resorts has what they
Oh.
call the staywell rooms. So all the
Oh, I've
staywell
stayed in one of
rooms,
those.
yes. So the
Yeah.
staywell rooms have Essentia mattresses in them. So
Very cool.
that's pretty cool. So I know that I do know that we have some NHL players that insist on being at the Bellagio in a staywell room specifically so they can sleep on our product. And
That's
we have some
awesome.
around the
Okay.
country as well. So
What
that's been
about
the
Toronto or New York?
we do have some properties in New York. I need to look it up to know which ones we're at. I just know MGM because they've done a property wide. So every MGM resort has a stay well section and has Essentia mattresses in them.
Oh.
So that's where the brand stuck.
All right.
Uh,
I
So
like
cool.
MGM so much more now. Sorry, Win.
You
Sorry,
know where to
Caesars
find her.
properties. Sorry, can't stay there.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. And from what they tell me, that this wellness movement is a big deal. And people who travel a lot, I travel a whole lot. You realize that what's important is wellness when you're staying. It's not the size of the TV or how nice the lobby is. Those are all perks, but really is how well you sleep. It's going to really matter.
Yeah. I don't think
Mhm.
I even turn the TV on when I'm in a hotel
Yeah.
room. So I really don't care. We've actually said like I would pay more for a hotel room knowing has an essential mattress. It's mold free. It's
Mhm.
clean of all the toxic cleaning chemicals or whatever.
Yep.
Good air filtration. Like I would happily pay more for that. So it's exciting to see this movement of hotels
Yeah.
accepting that.
So
A
I
window that
recall
opens, please.
Yeah.
I remember one athlete, one of the top athletes in hockey, actually. He was one of the first to be introduced to Essentia back in 2012 by his strength and conditioning coach. They put the strength and conditioning coach on task to find the right product for him. And he researched everything and he found us. And through his research, and we gave him all of our lab tests and all of our clinical data. And then he went back and he told him, well, this is what you should be sleeping on. And I actually met with him and we went through it and met with him and about, I believe, 5 or 6 other athletes at the same time, brought together by the same coach. He was the only one who decided not to buy it. Everyone else did. And by, years later, about 30% of the NHL sleep on Essentia mattresses, except for him. And the reason why, he said, well, I don't want to have a different mattress at home that's very different than when I'm traveling on the road. So he's very, suspicious
Mm,
about that. Or
I
I don't know
get
if
that.
he didn't want to
Okay.
have the difference. And then one year he had multiple concussions and he was off and he was looking to recover as quickly as possible. So that's why I got the call back. This is about maybe 5 years later. And he says, hey, listen, I'm home. I'm not traveling much. I want to recover. I need to step it up. So he got the mattress. So that, now I was really curious because this guy had rejected us 5 years ago for those reasons. I wanted to know how it was going. Maybe 60 days later, I call his agent. Any news? Is he using the product? And he says, I haven't heard anything. all right. I let a few more months pass, and I didn't want to bother. I don't like to be an imposing one, but I was just curious. Did he throw it out? Did he give it to a relative? Like obviously I'm not hearing any feedback, and I call his assistant. He goes, "Have you heard anything? Is he liking the bed?" Haven't heard anything. Again, a few months pass, and then I get a call from his agent. It says, "Well, listen, Sid would like you at the game tonight. Can you tomorrow night? Can you make it?" So all of a sudden, here I am. I'm in Florida, and I've got to get myself to Pittsburgh the following day, and I managed to get there on time. So I get there the next night, and I'm received at the highest. I thought I had a seat in the stands. I had no expectations of what I was offered. So when I went there, his agent met me and took me through all the back halls of the rink and brings me up to the owner's suite. So I get to the owner's suite. I'm watching the hockey game with the owner, his wife, his children, and basically got to enjoy the game there. And then at the end of the game, the owner, which is a childhood idol of mine, is Mario Lemieux. I realized that if they won that game, I'd be going to the house for a cup celebration. He goes, "Thanks for supporting the players," because everyone on that team was using our products at that time. They lost the game, but that's when I realized, one, how important sleep and recovery were to these players. I was there with people. And everyone was wondering, why are you there? You're making a mattress, and everyone else is like Gatorade, Rolex, every other top brand, and here a mattress guy was invited to stay in the suite. And when I went to see the players after the game, they were all very grateful for the product, and grateful that that was made available to them. So it was pretty cool. It's
That's
one of
gotta
those
feel
things.
really good.
It did, and 20 years ago, and every major strength and conditioning coach will tell you the same thing. Everything was flipped. If you had asked a strength and conditioning coach 20 years ago, what's the most important thing for an athlete? And he'll answer you without hesitation is training. What's the second most important thing for the athlete is nutrition. And what's the third most important thing? It's sleep and recovery. Ask that same question within the last 5 years, and it's flipped over. Most important thing is sleep and recovery. The second most important thing is nutrition. And the obvious, easy thing for them is the actual training.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen that through many industries, and just like health and wellness at large. We are talking about how important recovery is now. It is hugely important. If you're not recovering, you're not going to get stronger. So yeah, I'm certainly on board. And I always want to train like an athlete. I'm like, why do they get to do all these things? Like, we should all be doing this. We should all be optimizing our health and wellness in this way. I'm curious, when you were looking at their data, you mentioned brain waves. Were you just looking at sleep staging? Did you look at heart rate variability? What other metrics were you observing?
So when we've done major tests, so for example, a year and a half ago, we did it. We did a test with 75 pro athletes. It was a double-blind study. On that one there, so every time it's going to be a negotiation of what we can track and what we're allowed to monitor. So at that time, it was the sleep stages and how much time was logged into each. We've done heart variability on individual cases, but not as a study. And when you do an individual case study, it can't count. It doesn't. The data is relevant, but ultimately, you need to have a double-blind study. You need to have a group of people to really share the data, or else it's just marketing spin because you haven't done the proper protocols for it.
Yeah.
When we get to heart rate variability, that becomes sensitive, just because there's so much that a team or an agent or owners can know about a player through their heart variability, because that will tell you, who will be the hero that night, who will be the great performer, right? Who's ready.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's where I was saying, where again, not through massive tests that we've done, but what we're seeing is that the better management of heart variability at night when you sleep, that reflects in your actual active recovery when you're at play. And that's an amazing thing. So there is a link, and I one day want to do more tests and more broad studies on really showing how those two are married, how those superstars are training their heart variability at night when they sleep, and creating that link, I think is really powerful, because we talk athletes, but it's for everyone, because we're all human. We're all running our engines exact same way. So if we're able to measure it on an athlete, we know that we'll get the same results ourselves. And we want to be our best selves. We want to be our best executives, our best dads and moms and brothers and sisters. We want to be the best towards each other. And people are actually usually really nice when they feel good.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Because when you don't sleep well, you're inflamed and your
Exactly.
brain just goes,
Yeah, everything annoys you. Yeah. We actually had a podcast guest on, Don Moxley, who was a wrestling coach, and he talked about how he wouldn't even let his athletes like train or potentially compete if their HRV had completely dropped. So he would test that the morning of. And then I actually have another friend who's a coach for professional poker players. Same thing. Won't let them play if their HRV is in the tank that day. Because they know they're going to be, especially poker, they're going to be like tilted by every card that comes out and just
not worth it.
Not worth it, especially when there's money on the line.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. HRV is great. What about respiratory rate? Do you ever look at that during sleep?
No, we haven't
yet.
done any large any real proper scale of testing on respiratory issues. It was something that was really being discussed about 7 years ago. The project then was dropped. I worked with a great group out of New York called Delos, and they had a lot of scientists that were working on really just all respiratory tracking, but they had some phenomenal work. I haven't followed up with them, but these guys were coming up with some amazing links from tracking respiratory and as an indicator for all your wellness issues through they were able to all kinds of stuff. I mean, for what was relating to us was a sleep apnea, which was a little more obvious, but they were talking about the onset of like heart conditions, and they were saying that they had algorithms through tracking respiration that you basically can trigger an alert on your phone that would tell you what you may be suffering from or on an onset of just through tracking your respiratory system.
Wow.
Powerful metric.
Yeah. I will have to look into that again, but I haven't kept up with it.
Because I would imagine if you're exposed to mold and these VOCs and all these things while you're sleeping, that you would have a higher respiratory rate. I would think. So I would imagine people on the Essentia mattress are seeing a drop.
Yeah.
So, all right, you have to keep us posted.
Monitored it. I will. Yes.
Yeah. Sign us up for all the studies. I'm like, I'll volunteer.
Here's all my data.
Yeah. So I'm like completely sold on the mattress, but I see you have a lot of offerings. You mentioned before, you just want to keep doing more and more. So you have bedding, you have stuff for babies and children,
and dogs.
For dogs too. So, tell us, like, what are some other cool things?
So the way I'll give you a condensed version of how my brain has worked over the last 19 years at Essentia. I've been focused on the development. That's what I do, is the product development. When I launched the first product, I came up with this awesome mattress, first of its kind. Still today, the only one of its kind is what I developed in 2006. And then by 2009, I had issued new patents that really got into thermal regulation and other benefits. So I ditched the previous one and I launched a new one. And then that was it. That was the almighty greatest bed ever. And then as I continue to develop, we have better features, and we ditched that and we just went with the better, because I only wanted the best to be offered. And then I remember one previous customer of ours saying, "We love our bed. Thank you so much. We'd like to buy another." Oh, we don't make that one anymore because we made the greatest and the latest. But with the greatest and the latest, there's a cost. So every time we're putting in quartz in our formula, when we're putting in more essential oils in our formula, the cost kept going up. So there was a demand from our previous customers to give our previous technology. So what we have in our mattresses are 3 categories, and they're actually all awesome, but they're really 3 generations of products, and it's all how seriously do you sleep. We have our lifestyle products, which are again, I think our lifestyle Stratami is the 8th year in a row. Consumer Reports ranks it as the #1 foam mattress, beating all synthetics and organics, and that's our starting point as the company. Then we go to our performance models, which we have a REM 5 and REM 9. And the 5 and 9 represents the thermal regulation. The REM 5 was the previous technology that dropped 5 degrees over an 8-hour time lapse. And then we have our latest one, which is the REM 9, which drops 9 degrees over an 8-hour time lapse. We just offer both technologies because there's a different cost associated to them. When it came to the baby mattress, well, we made a crib mattress for our children. So that's how I launched that one, and then for friends, and then for family, and then I realized, you know what, it would be nice. We don't really market in kind of the baby world or a new parent world, but we kind of, it's available to Essentia customers. Yes, they all want it for their children as well. So that's where we launched the crib mattress. So that's been going on since 2010 or so. So we've had the crib, and the whole idea is that the whole family at any age can be sleeping healthy, sleeping well, be toxin free, and the sheets was really just about that as well, making sure that people were having, a hard time finding real certified organic products out there. They're not that they're not as common as you'd think. There's a lot of greenwashing, and people trust us. So we made sure that we sourced from the same source that we make our actual covers, all of our organic covers for the beds themselves. Well, we made the actual sheets for the again, mainly for our customers. You're not going to go to a linen shop and find Essentia. They're really the accessory products for our Essentia buyers. And then we make these anywhere and anyhow. We do a lot of celebrities as well, who are high achievers as well. So we make mattresses in all shapes and sizes. I think this year the largest mattress we've made was 146 inch by 116 inches. So
wait, what?
Wait, they're 8
monsters.
feet? 7 feet?
They're beasts. So we originally did the oversized mattress for our NBA customers. They all needed the extra long athletic mattresses.
Oh, yeah.
Which was okay. But now we have non-giants, just celebrities, regular 5'5" to 6 foot celebrities. And we've been having this growing demand of super size, 96 by 96, 120 by 120, 146 by 120. And they seem to be family mattresses. Where people are, it's kind of interesting because you have both extremes. We have so many customers who are going through a sleep divorce. They'll sleep in separate rooms or separate beds for each other's needs. It could be for snoring, could be whatever reasons. So there's about 20% of couples are now sleeping separately. And then we have these, the other hand, families that are sleeping together. So beds that can handle families of 4 or 5 and
a dog, a kid. Yeah.
I need the supersized bed so that my dog can have his own section, his own quarter.
I don't know how you sleep with him in your bed.
It's rough. Gosh. Yeah, we have to just keep expanding. I have a question about the toppers or like the mattress cover. This seems like more of a transitional piece if you're not ready to invest in a mattress. Is it supportive for EMFs and all the things that are, the benefits of the Essentia? It sounds like maybe it's just like an intermediary.
So typically, because we do get a lot of people that, let's say, bought themselves an organic mattress, but they realize it's either uncomfortable, too stiff, didn't handle their pain management, was not performance. So typically somebody who's maybe bought themselves something completely new and doesn't want to invest in a mattress so soon, that's really what the toppers are for. We have 2 versions: a zero gravity topper, which has the EMF incorporated into that formula, so you're getting the EMF protection. And then you have our other one, which has our pressure redistributing foam. So if you were to buy a firm latex organic bed and you're not finding it comfortable, well, it's a way to kind of bridge it, getting it closer to an Essentia performing mattress. But cool. Typically what I always tell people, if you don't have something stable that you're putting it on, you're not going to get all the benefits. So that's why if you're taking an old bed that's hammocking in the middle and you're putting a topper on it, you're going to be hammocking with that topper over it as well. So it's not a proper fix. It's a good fix to the bad choice in a new mattress.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
For
clarifying that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I think I've had my mattress for 5.5 years, so it might be time to just
get a
new one. Awesome.
Cool.
Well, Jack,
We'll
this
hear
has
for you.
been such a fun conversation, and I learned a lot about mattresses that I had no idea. So thank you for all of that. One final question for you, though. Can you tell our audience a piece of advice, something they could do today to optimize their health? What would that be?
So, I mean, there's always two things that I tell the athletes, that I tell everybody, which will make the biggest difference, is the sleep routine. As boring as it sounds, go to bed and wake up at the same time, because your mind is a powerful tool, but only as powerful as you'll make it. It's able to predict and it's able to project if you're giving it the routine. So if you're doing the same cycle every day, you'll have a faster time with the onset of sleep, because your body's going to start predicting that that is bedtime. So it's going to do so much good to your sleep duration and help with the REM sleep and deep sleep as well, because again, it's very predictable. And the second one is leading into that is just the stimulants and light. Light is a pretty bad stimulant out there, and everyone's either watching TV or looking at their devices or just having the synthetic. And you know, it's not a product that I sell, but I always pump their tires because I believe in it. Is the true dark glasses. You put in those red lenses. I mean, I can't. For me, within the hour, I'm knocked out. I put those on
Same.
and
It's
Yeah.
so
yeah,
true.
so,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like instant
Fast track to
sleepiness.
sleepiness for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband's
great
not going to be
advice.
happy that I shared this, but he got these really cool red glasses and he's wearing them outside during the day because he thinks they're really cool. I'm like, no, wrong time.
Oh,
wrong time, exactly.
no. Not the time to be making a fashion statement. Okay.
No,
Save it
but
for
he has,
nighttime.
yeah, but he has no trouble sleeping. Unlike me, I have to do all the things. I have to do all the things right.
But hopefully we've
Yeah.
communicated how important it is to have a clean indoor air environment, a clean sleep environment, because the toxins really, I think, are really problematic in everyone's sleep and household.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you think you're sleeping okay, I'm always curious, like how much better could we sleep? And especially with these metrics, and so many people have wearables now. I'm really excited to see that change and optimization in the wearables.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
Well,
so much. This has been so fascinating. And I'm like, gonna
Guys, it
spend
was
some time
awesome.
on the
And
website. This is fun.
yeah.
I'm sure we will cross paths at a conference or biohacking
Definitely.
soon, and look forward to seeing you guys.
Yeah.
Yes,
Or maybe
likewise.
it's a hallway of the Stay Well Suites at the MGM Grand in Vegas or something.
Absolutely. Cool.
Oh yeah. I did find a list on the website. I'll direct our
Okay.
audience there if you want to find
Nice.
one of these. Yeah.
Yes, great. We can put that in the show notes. We'll put all
And-
of your resources in the show notes too, so it's easy for everyone to find you. You have a ton between the website, articles, social media. So everyone scroll down. Definitely follow Jack, follow Essentia.
Everything, every study that we've done is on there. We publish everything that's ever been done. So there's a lot of learning that can be done on the site.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you for all the consumer education, which education is number one. And then two, you've also solved the problem for us. So thank you for that as well.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, thank you
We
guys.
love
Appreciate it.
problem solvers. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Jack. I'm so grateful for your time. And thanks to everyone else for tuning in. We will see you next time.